Hey everybody, I'm Chef Tom with atbbq.com, and today we're making pizza in the style of Long Island Italian grandmas. This is Grandma Pie. If there's one type of pizza that we all associate with New York City, it's that thin crust style New York pizza. And that stuff's delicious, I love it. But there's another type of pizza that's been prepared in New York for a long time, and it's the Italian style Grandma Pie. Now this is a pizza that's more similar to the Sicilian style pizza. It's baked in a sheet pan, a rectangular shape. It's got a bunch of olive oil in it so that it's crispy on the outside, tender and bready on the inside. It's really simple to prepare, it feeds a crowd easily, and we're gonna do it all on the grill today. To make the dough, we're gonna start off with some warm water. You want it about 105 to 110 Fahrenheit. And you're gonna add 1 packet or 7 grams of dry active yeast. And this warm water is gonna activate the yeast. You just wanna let it sit and become foamy for about 10 minutes. When your water gets frothy on the top there, go ahead and transfer it to your mixing bowl. You wanna add to that 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and then 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and a tablespoon of kosher salt. All right, so with the dough hook, you're gonna get this started to form a dough ball just on the 2nd speed here on the KitchenAid. And you'll notice that this is really wet at this point. We're only about 30 seconds to a minute into mixing this. This is only half the total flour we're gonna add, but we want to incorporate this all-purpose flour first. Just scrape down the sides and get all the dry parts in there. So in order for us to get this to ball up, we're gonna need to add a little bit more flour. Next, we're gonna go in with 1 cup of double lot pizza flour. Again, I'll kind of wait for that to work its way in there before we add the final cup of pizza flour. All right, so most of that's worked its way in now. We'll add the final cup. Now, as soon as all of that's incorporated, I'm gonna set a timer for 6 minutes and let the machine do the kneading for the next 6 minutes. All right, so here we are 6 minutes in. We've got a nice tender dough. Fairly smooth, the gluten's developed. And what we've made here is a dough that's gonna stretch, but it's also gonna be far more tender than, say, the thin crust or Neapolitan style pizza we've created in the past. Just wanna transfer this to an oiled bowl. And we're gonna cover that with plastic wrap, let it sit out at room temperature until it's doubled in size. Well, our dough's risen, now it's time to transfer it to the sheet pan and stretch it out. Ooh, I love the aroma coming off of that. What you're gonna wanna do next is get down a good amount of olive oil in the sheet pan. Probably about 1/3 of a cup. We'll make sure that that's spread to every corner. Then we're gonna transfer our dough. Now we're just gonna work this out, pulling and stretching evenly. You want a nice even surface. And it's gonna wanna retract a little bit as you stretch it, that's normal. But this is going to now get a shorter period to proof, but a little bit more proofing time in this form, and we'll be able to put any finishing touches we need to on this after it's risen again. All right, we'll cover this with plastic wrap for now, and I expect this to take about half as long as the initial proofing. which will really just vary depending on how warm the room is. While we wait for our pizza dough to rise, I'm gonna whip up a really simple red sauce. We'll start off with our tomatoes. These are DOP certified San Marzano tomatoes from Italy. And I wanna break these down into a fine consistency, a nice smooth sauce. But before we do that, we'll add our garlic as well. So a couple cloves of garlic, 1 can San Marzanos, and that's all. Just do a quick slice on this and let the Vitamix do the rest of the work. All right, so nice and smooth, not even 30 seconds worth, but that's what we're looking for. Now, if you want to, it'd be acceptable to stop right there with the sauce. I mean, you could add a little bit of salt and call it good, but I want to concentrate those flavors and I want to thicken the sauce a little bit, so we're going to reduce it in the Dutch oven. So just over medium heat, you want to reduce this down until it reaches the consistency that you want. Today we're cooking on the Yoder Smoker's YS640 pellet grill. It's going to be running at 500 degrees, but before we jump into this, I want to show you the setup for the grill because it's a little bit unique. So you're going to start with your diffuser removed and then place your standard grates back in there. And we're going to slide into place this large pizza stone a little bit off to the right. And the hot stone with a more direct heat is what allows us to brown the bottom and the top at the same time. These tomatoes have now thickened to the consistency that I'm looking for. If we run a spoon through here, you can see slowly fills back in. So we know it's nice and thick. Also, you can see how the color is darkened. There's some caramelization going on with the sugars and the tomatoes. It's going to add extra depth of flavor. Now just a shake of salt, and this should be good. Well, the dough's completed its second fermentation and we're ready to build this pizza. You can see how this has risen up, and we don't want to disrupt that too much, but just to help it get all the way to the edge, we're going to push that into the corners. This looks really good and smells fantastic. Now, traditionally, a grandma pie is pretty simple, just the dough, a little bit of mozzarella, and some red sauce. Of course, there's endless things that you could put on top of your pizza. We are going to keep it a little bit simple today as well, although I want to add some salami to this pie. We've got some hot salami that we're going to start building this with. You'll notice we're not going down with the sauce first. It's actually going to go on top. And then we're coming in with the low moisture mozzarella. So this isn't going to shed too much excess water onto the pizza as it bakes. Got about 8 ounces of mozzarella. Then I want to bump up the flavor with some provolone cheese. And we're going to round out the cheese lineup with some Romano. But to top the cheese with the sauce that I've transferred here to a bottle, this presents really nicely. And we can work every last bit of that can of tomatoes onto the top of this pizza here. And then just as a finishing touch and really to fortify these Italian flavors, we're gonna sprinkle on some of the Cattleman's Grill Italiano. This has got some great spices in it, some great herbs, oregano, basil, fennel seed, of course, some salt and some garlic. Just a really nice finishing touch. All right, onto the stone we go. I'm gonna set a timer. 10 minutes, we'll come back and check on this, give it a spin to make sure that it's browning evenly on the bottom. Now right around the 10 to 15 minute mark, you want to get in here and turn this around. You can see that the crust is starting to set, but it's not crispy yet. So we're just gonna let this keep on cooking. So when you get to the 30 to 40 minute range, you're gonna be checking for doneness. And what we're looking for is a golden brown on the bottom. We want it to have a slight crispiness to it, but it should also be tender all the way through. Also, the top, the cheese is gonna be browned and it should be bubbling a little bit. As you can see, we've got really great color on the cheese here. If we just look at the bottom of this, beautiful golden brown color going on, but of course it's still nice and tender. Let's go ahead and pull it off. The smell coming off of this is just incredible. Quite an aroma. You can hear just a little bit of crunch coming off that crust. You check out the crumb there, nice and bready, soft, but we've got good browning on the bottom, a little bit of crunch. Perfect. That's delicious. I mean, it's super tender, but got just the right amount of crunch on the bottom. I love the funkiness off the salami. I'm really glad we decided to add that today. And of course, the cheese is a little bit funky. You don't have just that basic mozzarella base. With the Romano in there, as well as the provolone, really makes a huge difference. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to check out atbbq.com for all of the products featured in today's video. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section down below. And let's be good to one another. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, head over to thesauce.atbbq.com. All things barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.